The Han Dynasty fell in a single night. For 400 years, they ruled the world's largest empire with paper and ink. Then 10 castrated servants burned it all. This is how history's most advanced bureaucracy was erased from existence. 189 CE. Luoyang. The capital of the Eastern Han Dynasty held more bureaucratic records than any city on earth. Every tax collection, every land survey, every judicial decision meticulously documented on paper they had invented centuries before Europe. 150 million people governed by ink and brushstrokes. But here is what the history books rarely mention. The men who controlled access to the emperor were not scholars or generals. They were eunuchs. Castrated servants who lived inside the palace walls. And they had been accumulating power for decades. By the time anyone noticed the danger, it was already too late. The question that haunted Chinese historians for centuries was this: how did servants become more powerful than the men they served? To understand the catastrophe, we must first understand the system. The Han bureaucracy was revolutionary. While Rome relied on personal loyalty and military might, China built something unprecedented. A meritocratic civil service. Examinations tested knowledge of classical texts. Performance reviews determined promotions. Everything documented. Everything recorded. This created a government that could function regardless of who sat on the throne. But it also created a fatal vulnerability. Whoever controlled information controlled power. And eunuchs had one advantage no official could match. They never left the palace. Day and night, year after year, they watched. They listened. They remembered. If this is already changing how you see ancient history, drop a like so I know to keep going. Because the system that made China great also planted the seeds of its destruction. Now let me put this in perspective. Imagine working in an office for 40 years. You see every meeting. You file every document. You know where every secret is buried. That was the eunuch position, but amplified by absolute power dynamics. Emperor Huan reigned from 146 to 168 CE. During his reign, he faced a choice. Trust the scholarly officials who lectured him about virtue, or trust the eunuchs who brought him wine and women. He chose the eunuchs. And he gave them something unprecedented. The authority to investigate and arrest officials. Suddenly, the servants held the power of life and death. Scholarly families who had governed provinces for generations found themselves dragged from their estates in chains. The partisan prohibitions began. And China's golden age started bleeding. But here is where the corruption accelerated beyond recovery. Emperor Ling took the throne in 168 CE at age 12. The eunuchs did not just advise him. They raised him. He called them his foster fathers. And when he came of age, he invented something that shocked even his contemporaries. The office for the sale of official positions. Government jobs. Military commands. Provincial governorships. Everything had a price. A local administrator position cost 400,000 coins. A provincial governor cost 20 million. The money flowed directly into imperial coffers. And the eunuchs managed every transaction. They were not just gatekeepers anymore. They were the marketplace. Every ambitious man in China now owed his position to a castrated servant. The bureaucracy designed to prevent corruption had become corruption's greatest engine. But that is not even the worst part. While the palace sold positions like commodities, the countryside was dying. Floods. Droughts. Plagues. The peasants who actually fed the empire watched their families starve while officials extracted taxes for positions they had purchased. In 184 CE, they rose. The Yellow Turban Rebellion exploded across 8 provinces simultaneously. Hundreds of thousands of desperate farmers wrapped yellow cloth around their heads and attacked government offices. And here is the twist nobody expected. The rebellion did not destroy the Han Dynasty. It temporarily saved the eunuchs. Because suddenly everyone needed the military. Warlords rose. Generals became kingmakers. And the eunuchs played them against each other. Subscribe if you want to see how this ends, because the next 4 minutes will show you how 10 men destroyed 4 centuries of civilization. 189 CE. Emperor Ling finally died. He left 2 sons, 2 factions, and 2,000 eunuchs who knew their survival depended on who sat on the throne next. The Empress Dowager backed the elder son, but the eunuchs backed the younger. General He Jin marched his troops toward the capital, demanding the eunuchs be eliminated. What happened next sealed the dynasty's fate. The eunuchs invited General He Jin into the palace for negotiations. He went alone. And they cut off his head. Think about that for a second. The man commanding the largest army in China walked into a trap set by servants because he could not imagine they would dare. Drop your prediction in the comments. What do you think the army did when their general's head rolled out of the palace gates? The soldiers did exactly what you would expect. They broke down the palace gates. And for the next 72 hours, they killed every eunuch they could find. Not just the conspirators. Every single eunuch. Young men without beards were murdered because soldiers could not tell the difference. Over 2,000 bodies. But here is the revelation that changes everything. In the chaos, someone started fires. Whether by accident or design, the flames reached the imperial archives. 400 years of administrative records. Land deeds. Tax assessments. Census data. Legal precedents. The institutional memory of the world's largest empire went up in smoke. The eunuchs died. But they took Han's civilization with them. When the fires finally stopped, China had no functioning government. No records meant no legitimate land ownership. No tax collection. No justice system. The warlords who emerged from the ashes had nothing to build on except raw military power. The 3 kingdoms period that followed lasted nearly a century. 60 million people died in the wars. China's population dropped by 75%. And it would take 400 years before another dynasty achieved Han levels of administrative sophistication. Think about what was really lost. Not just an emperor. Not just a government. An entire system for organizing civilization. Burned by servants who have been invisible until they became everything. The lesson that Chinese historians drew from this catastrophe shaped dynasties for 2,000 years.